Thank you so much, Arnav, and thank you for providing me this opportunity to share a small story of mine. Let me just share my screen if it's visible to you. Guys, let me start with who I am. And for that, Arnav just gave a small brief introduction of mine, but I think it's better that I connect a little more to help you understand I am Indore itself. And I hope you remember, I don't know whether you guys went through this formal introduction or not, but this is the year 2004, and when we were being inducted within the I am Indore community. So I am one of these guys standing behind, and we were a small batch at that time. Around 113 people had joined in, and this is our first day when we were inducted into the I am Indore community. These were the classes. We had a very small group of students at that time, and I don't think the classes have changed. I have been to IIM Indore recently, so even though the infrastructure remains the same, but it was probably one of the best infrastructures which we came across. I used to live in what you call as SR1. So this is where the story really began. But what happened after this is something which is very interesting. And today I'm going to connect with you a very, very interesting story. So I'm not going to give you any kind of gyan down over here. So this is not a wisdom talk per se from my angle, but what I'm going to tell you very specifically is a very, very small story. Before I delve into that small story, I think what I also need to communicate to you is what I am Indore helped me achieve in the last 20 years. So I will share four things which probably I think connects me back to I am Indore and my achievements together. So one very interesting thing which I am doing right now is I'm part of Blinkit, and I hope most of you have seen this ad. So you understand what Blinkit is, and I'm very proud to share that I have been with Blinkit for more than 4 years, even though Blinkit exists only for 3 years, because it was called Grofers earlier, and I was part of that small team of people who were building Blinkit during its initial phases. Very proud to be here and very proud to be working on something which is extraordinary right now in India. The second very interesting thing which I happened to do after I passed out was I built an affordable preschool chain in rural Punjab. While it didn't, we had to close this down after 4 or 5 years of operations. But this was something which was very interesting and very close to my heart, which I did. And one of the reasons why I did it was because in rural India, you will see that the government schools actually start from class one. The pre-primary education is completely neglected out over there. Even though Anganwadis have been given the task of doing pre-primary, actually they come under women and child welfare. They don't come under education department, and that's one of the reasons why education is pretty neglected in the pre-primary sections over there. And that's where we thought we can make an impact. We did make an impact. We impacted around 1,000 families, but then the COVID struck. And believe me, the kind of cost which we had built the school on was phenomenal. We were charging 5,000 rupees per annum from the parents, and it was a completely profitable venture. But COVID was something which didn't go down well with us, and we had to close down these operations. But I'm very proud to do something of this sort, and in at least my lifetime, I have been able to impact 1,000 families. The third very interesting thing which I wanted to share with you was I was part of a project with Odisha State Medical Corporations, and I helped them build a very, very robust supply chain, a medical supply chain today, which is very, very active, and they are using the models which we have been able to implement. This was in 2015, and because of this, a lot of lives are being saved at this point of time. This supply chain has become so reactive that even before, even when the tornado or the storms come in, the medical supplies don't stop. And that's something I have been a part of, and I really cherish being part of that particular team. But one story which I'm going to share with you is of what I did recently, which is in 2023. And this is what is called Race Across India. And this has been a phenomenal journey. And but before we deep dive into what Race Across India is and everything, I just want to stop over here and tell you these are the four very important things which I believe shaped me. And I'm Indore had a very, very important role to play in shaping my personality to reach to this stage. Let's start from here. And The story of Race Across India begins from here. So before we deep dive into the story, what actually is Race Across India? Let's understand this Race Across India. Race Across India started, this particular race started in 2023. It's a cycling race, what we call as an ultra cycling race, and it is one of the longest ultra cycling races in Asia. The longest in the world is what is called the Trans-Siberian race, which starts from Moscow and ends in Vladivostok, which is 9,100 kilometers and is to be completed in 21 days. But the format is very different. This format is very different, and one of the reasons why this longest race is possible because we have the longest highway in India, which starts from Srinagar and which ends in Kanyakumari. The NH44 highway is one of the longest highways, and this race goes through that particular highway. And the when you have and the total distance in the year 2023 was around 3651 kilometers, which was to be covered. But depending upon what format are you participating in, the cutoff times were different. Now there were team of two, team of three, team of four, and solo participants. The team of four were given 8 days to complete the race. Team of two had 10 days. But if I was a solo participant under the 49 years age category, and I was given 12 days to complete this race. If you really do the calculation, you will have to do around 304 kilometers per day on a cycle if you have to reach exactly on the cutoff time. But there were specially abled participants also, and they were given around 14 days. And I will talk through and I will touch some of the facets of this particular race. But before we get into a little more detail, you understand how Indian roads are. And it's very, very difficult to even drive a car on these Indian roads. So, how cycling is possible? You understand Europe and American roads are much better and they are built for cycling. But what about Indian infrastructure? It's not built for cycling. But cycling in India is still possible if the safety conditions are met. One of the most important safety parameters of this race was that every moment when the cyclist is on a road, a car has to be behind him, a car which was driven by their own crew. And this crew has a very, very important role. So, a rider can go with multiple cars, they can go with a single car or a multiple car. I decided to go with a single car. It was a conscious decision, but after the race ended, I realized that one car is not enough, and I will come to that also. Why that one car is not enough? But the most important part of this particular race is you have been given 12 days. What really 12 days means is that once the clock starts, and the clocks for me started on 1st of March at 8:40 a.m. And once the clock starts, my clock stops only on 13th March 2023 at 8:40 a.m. I have to be in Kanyakumari before that time, irrespective of whether I stop, whether I take a food break, whether I take a sleep break, whether I take a nature break. The clock is going to stop only on 13th of March 2023 at 8:40 a.m. In those 12 days, I have to reach Kanyakumari, and every moment which I am on the road, the cycle needs to be, I need to be on the cycle. Either I'm walking, I need to hold the cycle. If I'm cycling, I'm sitting on, and I'm not riding behind any other rider. I have to ride alone. No one can help me. So the cycles were checked for motors, everything happened, and then the race started. But the most important part in this whole race was being played by the crew. What does the crew really do? The crew is your doctor, the crew is your physiotherapist, the crew is your nutritionist, the crew is your mechanic. Everything which happens, which a rider needs, is held by the crew. The car which runs behind you or the extra car which you carry, the crew actually is in that particular car. Just imagine a cyclist is cycling on a road and it's a highway, NH44. The cycling which he's doing is not more than a speed of 20 kilometers per hour, 25 kilometers per hour, 30 kilometers per hour. And how much distance he has to go, or he or she has to go, is 3,651 kilometers. That's the cyclist's job. But what about the driver of the car? He's also driving at the same pace. Can you imagine driving at a pace of 20 kilometers per hour for 3,600 kilometers? That's what the crew does. They stay behind the rider for their safety. A rider is nothing without the crew, and a crew is nothing without the rider. This is what this is not a this was not a solo race. This was actually a team race, and this is where this and the most beautiful part of my journey was my crew was my family. My wife was the crew chief. She was responsible for everything which I needed. She was responsible for talking to the organizers of the race. She was responsible for signing off on the time stations whenever we reached. She was responsible for my nutrition. She was responsible for medical care, everything. She was leading the team. I had two kids who were participating as a crew. One was that time 14 years of age, Kanab, my elder son. He was in class 8 that time. The younger one was 11 years old, and he was in class 5th that time. And we were helped by a volunteer, and he was also a cyclist. He came just along with us because he thought it was a very interesting concept and he wanted to be part of our team. He was based out of Ludhiana and joined us on the date we went to Srinagar. Now, this whole race was of 3,651 kilometers. It looks like, when you see the India map, I will go back to the India map. Now, if you really look at the India map, uh, there's a myth which many people believed that when this race was organized, that the race starts from Srinagar and you have to go to Kanyakumari. It's all downhill. Srinagar mein mountains hai, and then you have to just go downhill. That's a pretty easy race. You probably not need not paddle. But when you sit on the cycle and when you start riding, then you realize what happens. This is a terrain. What I'm showing you is an elevation chart from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and this elevation chart is in meters. The first biggest spike which you see is the Patni top. This Patni top ride, when we were having, this was a 20-kilometer continuous climb and not even a single stop. Once you stop paddling on this continuous climb, the cycle just goes back. And that's the steepness of the climb, and you can see the steepness of the climb in this elevation chart itself. To make the race a little more organized, what the organizers did was they made 12 time stations across this whole terrain. Now, the story of this terrain is very interesting. Even though the time doesn't permit, I will tell you a few glimpses of this particular journey, a very interesting glimpses. The first time station happened to be at Kathua, which was around 308 kilometers from our starting point. Uh, that's what was our targets for the first day, and we said ki we will ride for 12 hours at a speed of 25 kilometers per hour, and we will reach Kathua, and this is the combination which we'll use. And 12 hours was a pretty good time, and we had 12 hours for rest. So this is what we decided. But we reached Kathua late in the night at 12 p.m. We started at 8:40 in the morning, and we reached at 12 p.m. We took a hotel, we slept over there, and again started in the morning. But when we started in Srinagar, it was around 4 degrees centigrade. And the second day, when we were moving towards Ludhiana, the temperatures had already risen to 40 degrees centigrade. And this was now we had entered 2nd of March. The temperatures were rising. Now we were in plains. We had crossed the most mountainous climb, but now we were in plains. Ludhiana was 211 kilometers. We were there in the evening at around 8:48, 8 p.m. sorts on 2nd of March. We were there. It was a pretty simple ride, except for we found there was some local festival and there was a jam in a place near Pathankot. We lost around 1.5 hours out over there, and the organizers did not take that out from your account because it's a race. This clock is going to stop only at 8:40 a.m. on 13th of March. It doesn't matter that whether you are stuck in a jam or something happens to your car or to your cycle, everything is part of this race. You have to reach there to Kanyakumari, whatever happens on the way. Ludhiana, we didn't stop. We didn't take a break in Ludhiana because our next target was going to be Palwal, which is Delhi. You have to cross the KMP highway and enter Delhi at that particular point of time. So we decided to take a stop a little later, because by now I had understood it's impossible to ride in the sun, but it was very pleasant in the night. So what we did was we decided to take breaks in the afternoon time period, which was from 10 a.m. to probably 4 p.m. We will take the breaks and then we will keep riding. This was the second time when we took a stop in Karnal, which is in Haryana. We again took a hotel, stayed over there. But both the days, what happened with us was when we were staying in the hotels, we were wasting a lot of time. We didn't know, and this was our first race, and so we didn't know what to do. When we didn't move for almost 6-7 hours from that particular location, we had a GPS tracker. So the organizers called us and said, "Ki Manish, what are you doing? Why are you not racing right now?" I told them I'm taking rest. He said, "It's more than 6 hours. Why are you resting right now? So the races are in front of you." And when I looked at the tracker which he had given, I realized probably I was the last participant right now on the road, and all of them were almost 200 kilometers in front of me. And that's something struck me very, very hard. I said, Mickey, this is not done. Mickey, this is the race of my lifetime. I can't be sitting behind. And that's when the real race started for me. From the times, and the time station 3 was Palwal. And so we decided that we are not going to stay in any hotel now. And wherever we get place to stay, wherever we get a place to sleep, we will sleep. And then Palwal happened, and I will share a couple of more photographs with you a little later. But from Palwal, we were to go to Gwalior, and this was probably the last time station where I was going to find planes, and I was already 200 kilometers behind. And I remember in Agra, we were crossing late night in Agra, and someone called us and said, "Manish, don't go ahead from Agra to Gwalior at night because you are going to cross the Chambal Ghati, the Morena area, and that's an area famous for dacoits." And these were my parents. So I checked out with the local people out over there, and they said, "Ki the story of Chambal is old now, and India has progressed. You go ahead, no problems." And late at night, I remember 12 midnight, I was crossing Chambal with a fear in my mind that I don't know what's going to happen. And that's one of the instances happened where on the toll, when we were crossing the toll, I was left behind and the car went ahead. I had no lights on my cycle at that point, and I had to ride cycle almost for 10 kilometers without a car behind me. And I was pretty afraid that probably the organizers would watch and they will find me. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and we reached Gwalior safely. From Gwalior, the real test started because now the terrain was going to change, and it changed dramatically. As soon as from Gwalior we entered Jhansi, we crossed Jhansi, and we started moving towards Sagar. The rolling hill started. What's a rolling hill? You keep on going up, and then the road goes a little down, then it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up. It's like a wave. And for a cyclist who is cycling, and he or she wants the road to be plain, When he or she sees a mountain, he says, okay, let me climb the mountain, then I will have a downhill. But here, after every 1 kilometer of climb, you have only 200 meters of downhills, then a kilometer of climb and 200 meters of downhill. And this continued for 400 straight kilometers. And this was a brain fry moment for us. Uh, Even though we reached Sagar, we crossed Sagar, reached Nagpur, but the mountains were not leaving our leaving us. Sioni, between Sagar and Sioni, the biggest mountain which you see is Sioni when we are crossing. Sioni is closer to Indore, I remember. But now the half of the distance was done. We were at 0 mile of India. Nagpur is the center, and we were there at the sixth day. Now I realize कि because I have been riding continuously, I was riding for 18 to 20 hours a day. I was able to cover and cross a lot of participants, and now I was not in the last. I was in the middle, and it gave me a lot of confidence. And then we kept on the strategy of not riding in the day and riding only in the night, which helped me cross Nirmal, and then we moved to Hyderabad. Now, Hyderabad was a very, very interesting location for us. Because in Hyderabad, you have to cross Hyderabad, and to cross Hyderabad, there's an ORR, outer ring road. The organizers made the route such that we never went over the outer ring road. They made us go through the city traffic, the service roads, and through the city. One of the reasons why they made us go through the city was because as an ultra cyclist, you have to conquer everything. It's not only the terrain which you have to conquer, it's the traffic which you have to conquer. It is your mindset which you have to conquer, and you have to reach the end point. By the time we reached Hyderabad, I think I was completely exhausted. My body was stiff. It was not moving at all. But I had still some more distance to go. Some of the participants, some of the teams had already reached by that particular time to the end point. Anantapur, now it was only a couple of more distance and one more big mountain after Anantapur, which was Bangalore. And as soon as we crossed Bangalore and entered Hosur, the road was completely downhill, and it was a pretty straightforward ride from there. The speeds increased, and very soon we reached Madurai, and from Madurai we were in Kanyakumari. This was We took around 11 days, 16 hours and 47 minutes to reach. And This whole journey of 11 days, 16 hours, couple of things which I really want to stress around this period was, one was the nutrition. What was I having? What do you really need to have when you are riding 18 hours, 20 hours, when you are cycling 18 to 20 hours? So just to imagine what is riding 18 to 20 hours really mean. Uh, Most of you might have heard about Ironman as a contest. An Ironman contest is starts with a 5 kilometer swimming. It After 5 kilometers swimming, you have to do 180 kilometers of cycling, and after 180 kilometers of cycling, you have to do 42 kilometers of running. And the time which is given to you is 17 hours. In 17 hours, the whole event ends. This was a 12-day event, and it was not ending. 20 hours we were cycling continuously, and the event was not ending because it was going to end after 12 days. It was not one Ironman, it was not two Ironman, it was not three Ironman, it was 12 Ironman back to back, back to back, back to back, which had to be finished. That is what this race is all about. And if you really look at your nutrition and hydration, what does a normal person, what kind of calories does a normal person have? In a day, a normal person like you or me will have around 1500 calories to 2000 calories, kilocalories. But when you're cycling, your calorie requirement to cycle is around 350 to 500 kilocalorie per hour, depending upon what speed you are riding, what's your heart rate and stuff. So in a day, I had to have 7,000 to 10,000 kilocalories per day, which means more than 4 to 5 times the food which a normal person has. How do you eat 4 to 5 times? And when do you eat 4 to 5 times? So these two photographs really show you the handing over of the food which was happening, and this is how I was eating. I was eating on the cycle. We were stopping probably only for big meals, but not for the continuous meals. Uh, and what was I having? I was having probably everything which had a lot of calorie. In the normal course of time, I was having the normal meal, but during this 12 days, I really had some calorie bombs. I had eaten 52 gulab jamuns. I had already drunk 32 liters of lassi, 44 liters of juices is what I drank during these 4 year 12-day race. I had eaten 21 besan laddus, and I don't know, maybe there would be much more, but this is something which I recall I had written on my booklet, nutrition booklet. These were the calorie bombs, and you have to have those calorie bombs, otherwise you can't cycle. So this is how I was taking care of my nutrition. But what about my sleep? Where did I sleep? Did I sleep on the cycle? I told you I stayed in for 2 days. I did sleep in the hotel, but after that, what happened? After that, wherever I got chance to sleep, wherever I got some space to sleep, I had my sleeping bag and I slept over there. This is me sleeping on the KMP highway just before entering Palwal. This is me and my crew sleeping on cart in one of the dhabas when we were taking a break during the afternoon. Sleep was a luxury at this particular point of time because the target was simple. We had to reach Kanyakumari and at all costs. And we did not want to waste time. Whenever we used to stop for food, we used to stop for food only at places where we had a cart to sleep or at a petrol pump, which was much more safer. It's not only me, it's my crew also who slept like this. They didn't have a bed to sleep on. And when I say my crew, it was my kids. And these are 14 and 11-year-old kids, my wife. They're sleeping in the car because every moment we were on road, I was cycling. The race was not without its own problems. I had to give my blood and sweat to this particular race. I had an accident, I had a fall, I had cramps, I had saddle sores, everything I had. But I still completed this race. Now, the question which a lot of people ask me is why? Why did I do this? Now, it doesn't make sense. Ironman probably would make sense. Maybe 17 hours you are done with the race. 42 kilometers of running and you are done with it in 4 hours, 5 hours, or 6 hours. 21 kilometers of half marathon, you are done with it in 2 hours or 3 hours. But why this? Why this 12-hour journey? 12 years of journey. And along with before I answer the why, I should also tell you that it was not something which is cheap. To do this race, it costs money. And depending upon what kind of person you are, you buy a cycle. You can go on a 15,000 rupee cycle, which one of the participants had, or you can have a cycle like the one which I had, which costed me around 2 lakhs, or you could be someone like Dr. Amit Samar, one of the biggest ultra cyclists of India, who was on a cycle which costed around 9 lakhs. Then you need to have spare parts along with the cycle, which again costed some. Then you need to have those special shorts or special equipment along with you. So the basic minimum cost of buying all this would range from 1.5 lakhs to around 2.5 lakhs. Then there was an operational cost which was involved, which was your nutrition, your car's diesel, petrol, food, stay, registration costs, everything. And when you account for all this, the cost of this whole race ranged from 3 lakhs to 8 lakhs, depending upon what kind of crew you had, what kind of cars you had, what kind of operational cost you incurred. So I incurred somewhere around 3.5 to 4 lakhs of cost. Then again, the question comes, why? Why did I do this? Okay, it's not free, it's not easy, and it does cost money, right? So why would someone do this? Memories, yes. Probably it was one of the most beautiful moments when we reached Kanyakumari. I was holding the trophy in my hand, and I was being honored by probably a lot of people across. I have this memorabilia in my home. Was this what I was vying for? Uh, Probably no. So, what is the right answer? I am still searching for it. I don't have the answer right now, but one very interesting thing which I realize is I did this, something which is phenomenal, Kashmir to Kanyakumari on cycle. Why did I do this? I found the answer in a very interesting quote of Hilary Edmond. And before I get into the quote, I would want to ask each one of you, why does someone climb a Mount Everest? What is the reason they climb a Mount Everest? What do they get after climbing a Mount Everest? And when this question was asked to Edmund Hillary, he said, because it's there. I don't know how many of you would understand it, but probably someone like me who has done this journey would understand that because Kashmir to Kanyakumari is there. And that's why I wanted to do it. And that's what I did. And I'm very proud of having done this and have these memories along with me. But what I gained out of it was something which was phenomenal, completely phenomenal. One or two very interesting things which I love about this race, which I gained probably after this race, is what I'm going to share. So this is a boy named Dheeraj Kalsar, and he was also a solo participant. If you carefully see, he has an underdeveloped left hand. If you carefully see this photograph, and he doesn't have his left leg. So he was cycling from Kashmir to Kanyakumari with a single hand and a single working leg. This is Dheeraj Kalseth. And he was riding alongside me, and my kids were watching this boy in action. A kid who is 11-year old, a kid who's 14-year old, and he's not reading books. He's not reading about Dheeraj Kalsat in books. He's watching Dheeraj Kalsat do it. He's watching Dheeraj bleeding from his wounds and still riding. My kids were standing at Kanyakumari when Dheeraj reached over there. And this is probably one of the most beautiful moments or memories which I would have, which I was able to share with my kids. When my kids gave the exam, and one of the questions the examiner asked them, "How can you fulfill your dreams?" This is what my 11-year-old wrote, and I don't know what else could I have taught them. What more could I have given them than taking them from on this beautiful journey? Probably over a period of time, I would realize what I have gained. At this point of time, the only thing which I have gained is memories and probably some beautiful experiences which I have shared with my kids, and my kids have learned something beautiful. Uh, but for me, it was not this ending which was important. You see me standing folded hands, and this I'm standing not at the finishing line. I'm standing with my hands folded at the starting point because it's not important that you finish this event like this or a race like this or you climb a Mount Everest. It's not important to finish. It's important to reach the starting line. And this journey of reaching the starting line was not easy. And I can tell you that because this is who I was. This is who I was when I was only 9 to 5. I was just working and working and working. I told you about my achievements also. I told you that I did something with Odisha State Medical Corporation. I built a social. I was a social entrepreneur. I did everything, but probably I did a lot of things wrong. And because of those things, I suffered from two slip discs. One slip disc happened as soon as I passed out in 2006. In 2007, the first slip disc happened. The second happened in 2013. I went through severe vitamin deficiencies, B12, D3, had to undergo therapy. I was diagnosed with fatty liver, And all this when I was not having alcohol, I was zero tobacco. I never had alcohol, I never had tobacco. And then also I suffered all these things. And it is not that I was asking why me, why me. It was I knew why it was happening. I knew I had a very bad lifestyle, and that bad lifestyle was a result of that 9 to 5 job which I was pursuing. It was because I was always sitting on the desk. I didn't think about myself. I didn't think about my family. I didn't think about my kids. I'm sure most of you would also go through this journey. Sharing this journey, sharing this journey with you. One of the reasons of sharing this journey with you is probably this story stays with you for some time, and you remember that I was part of you, but I was able to dramatically change myself. I changed I changed as a person completely from what I was probably 6 7 years 8 years back to a person who is now able to go from Kashmir to Kanyakumari on cycle. And again, probably next year I'm going to do this again on a route which is even more tougher, which goes through Munnar Kodaikanal hills, and the distance is going to be more than 4,000 kilometers. I will probably do this again, and I will do this again because Kashmir to Kanyakumari is there. And that's the only reason why I will do it. And this is, guys, this is where the journey started when I went to take the first cycle for my kids. This is a photograph which I will always cherish, always remember. And this is where I learned that cycling is not for kids, cycling is for everyone. It's a very, very low impact sport. I was a flat foot. I know I couldn't run much, but cycling is something which anyone can do at anywhere they can do. And probably this time, February, when I'm coming to Indore, I would come on my cycle and meet every one of you over there. So I don't care what's probable. If you put in the right amount of blood and sweat and tears, you will become unstoppable. And thank you, everyone. I'm open to any questions if you have.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful presentation. Any questions?
Yeah, Amod, I think you have raised your hand.
Hi, sir. First of all, what a great story. As someone who's aspiring to do an Ironman someday, to see you cycle for 12 days straight is truly aspirational for me. But I worry, what I really want to know, and I've run a few marathons myself, is that the last 5 kilometer, when the 5 kilometer marker comes up, right, that there's only 5 kilometers left, that's when the real motivation actually comes through. Even when your foot's burning, your calves are burning, when you start running faster, even though you truly believe you can't do it. So I want to know what were the last 100 kilometers for you before you reach Kanyakumari on that ride.
Awesome. Great question. This was a race within a race, the last 100 kilometers, and we were three people from Punjab who were participating in race across India, and all three of us were riding very close to one another at a distance of around 50 or 60 kilometers. I had crossed everyone in Nagpur because I was riding throughout the night, and those last 100 kilometers, only two of us were left, and we actually raced. We raced with the whole sprint. Those 100 kilometers were a sprint for us, and I had to let it go because I suddenly had cramps and I had a sore knee, so I let it go. I lost that race within the race, but I still completed. But it was an adrenaline rush, yes. Those 100 kilometers are one of the most memorable 100 kilometers for me. Thank you, Amod. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you for answering that. Thank you.
And best of luck, Amod, for your Ironman.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Gyan.
Hi, sir. Thank you for such an insightful session. It was so motivating to hear from you. Actually, my question goes a little beyond like what you were telling us. So I was actually wondering, you mentioned the answer to why you did that, and your answer was quite similar to what Edmund Hillary said, that because it's there. So out of thousands of the things that are out there which one might find challenging and adventurous, how do we choose our battles? How do we choose what to pick from all of the options that are out there?
Yeah, no, I don't think you get to choose the battles. I think the battles choose you. And why I'd say this is, um, I just wanted to be fit. I didn't want to do Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And during my fitness journey, I realized कि there's something called an Ironman, and you can do an Ironman too. And I asked my coach, can I do an Ironman? He said, train with me for a year and you will be able to do an Ironman. I said, okay. I was training for an Ironman, but then I slipped from the stairs one day and I twisted my ankle. I was not able to train for almost like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, and still my foot was not well. And during that period, this race was announced. I again asked my coach, "Do you think I can do this?" He said, "Kier, you have been training for Ironman. You can easily train for this, and you require 4 weeks or 8. You require around 16 weeks of training for this. That training is important. If you get committed to a goal, you just need to get dedicated to that goal. That's something which is important. And I don't know how that goal chooses you. It's very difficult to say, but I think once you are on a path, on a journey, you would automatically reach there. This is something which I tell a lot of people that if I'm driving to Delhi, I don't see Delhi, but I do see the road in front of me. I just keep on riding on the road, and I would reach Delhi someday. So that's how the goal chooses you, actually.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I think we'll end the meet.
Thank you, Arnab, and thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, sir.